Hi everyone, I'm Ken DiCenzo, and the community I'm going to bring you guys through today is the Quinnipiac Delta Tau Delta alumni community on Facebook. So, a brief overview of the community as a whole. The name of it is the Quinnipiac Delta Tau Delta Alumni Group, the members of which are all Quinnipiac graduates who were involved in the Iota Mu chapter of Delta Tau Delta, which has been on campus since 2011. In total, the community currently has 161 members, meaning that there have been 161 members of the fraternity who have graduated and moved on to adult lives. The reason for the community is to continue that connection that the brothers had during their time at Quinnipiac. It also serves as a job through which a lot of the older members of the group post job postings that they find through where they work. And because the community is so diverse, there's jobs in California, New York, in Massachusetts, in Rhode Island, and they just have faith in us that we would do a good job in those positions because they were all with us for 4 years or more of college. So that is why they're the first ones to post, and they try to get us in the door. Since the fraternity was always involved in a lot of philanthropy activities, whether through the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation or through Q-Thon. A lot of the brothers have other fundraising things that they participate in or that they want funding for. Some of them participate in runs, some of them participate in polar plunges, and they use this community as a means of getting funding for their philanthropy efforts. There are also some brothers who post housing opportunities. For instance, Nathaniel Moore recently posted because he wanted to find a place in Boston, so he was curious if anyone else was working in Boston that would also want to live with him. The people who share and interact on it create posts, photos, and they share links to either these jobs, these fundraising opportunities, or events that all the alumni can be involved in. The values of this community are that it helps to keep the ties together that everyone had, or everyone felt that they had during their college career. It helps when you need a little bit of help from your former brothers in the form of like filling a job or fundraising or even just connecting and hanging out. And it also provides as a resource of finding new experiences and opportunities. Some examples of some posts. Ben Ivers is currently in California, and so he is a film major who is working to make all of his films as popular as possible, so he posted about a competition that he entered in. Jake McMahon is currently the alumni chair, so he tries to set up events, such as this one in Boston that's happening at the Red Sox game. It's coming up in April, so hopefully there'll be a lot of brothers who want to go to that. And then looking at the distribution of creators, contributors, and spectators, there is one creator, and that is Chris Hart. He was the first vice president of Delta Tau Delta when it first started at Quinnipiac. Some contributors, I would say around 30 to 40 members of the group, are consistent contributors, or critics for that matter, who post regularly and interact with people regularly, whereas the remaining 120 to 130 people would be considered spectators because of the lack of posts they do or the lack of interactions they have with others on the website. So, this is Chris Hart. He was part of the first class of DELT, meaning that when the people from Delta Tau Delta came to Quinnipiac University and were recruiting people, he was one of the first ones that were recruited. He is currently pursuing medical school and is a script at a local hospital. His demographics, he's a white male, he is 27, he makes around $45,000 a year, and he currently lives in a very urban environment. Some identifiers of him: he is the former vice president of Quinnipiac Delta Tau Delta when it was first formed. His online activities, he would be considered advanced. He interacts often on Facebook and on LinkedIn. I asked him for a quote, and he said that he started this community as a way to maintain that aspect of brotherhood that we all felt as a part of Delta Tau Delta, even after graduation. His user story would be that, as a creator of the QU Delta Delta alumni group, I need to be able to make sure the page stays updated and has the most recent graduates in order to achieve the feeling of all Delts still being connected after graduation. Looking at a critic, we can find Nate Moore. He's a recent graduate. He currently works for Athena Healthcare, and he got his undergraduate business degree from Quinnipiac, and he also got his MBA from Quinnipiac as well. Demographics, he's also a white male. He is 24. His household income is $55,000 a year, and he just found a brother to live with him in Boston, so now his living conditions are definitely urban because he lives in the city. Some identifiers is he frequently posts, he's actively involved in philanthropy outside of school. He was the graduate assistant for the Office of Community Service here when he was pursuing his MBA, so community service is a large part of his life. And he was looking for a roommate. That was his most recent identifier in the group. Online activities, he works for a cloud company, and so his level of internet ability would be considered advanced. He interacts on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I asked him about challenges that he saw or could see for this group. He said, one of the challenges for me in this community is that not everyone is as equally involved. I wish there were more people who would try to reconnect instead of just post when they need something. His user story, and as a critic of this community, he would need to be able to contribute content and make sure that others are getting more involved in this page in order to achieve a greater sense of community. Then finally we'll look at a spectator. This is Connor LaChapelle. He's a recent graduate. He works for Dataminr in New York. He received his MBA and his bachelor's degree from Quinnipiac University. Demographics of him, another male. It is a fraternity group, so it makes sense. He's 23. His household income is $100,000, and he would be considered living in an urban area. Identifiers of him that make him a spectator is he's much less active than Nate Moore or Chris Hart or any of the other contributors or the creator. He seldomly posts. He sometimes interacts with very few posts, but for the most part he just looks on and looks for news or other ways in which he can meet up with brothers in person. Online activities, his level of internet ability, again, would be considered advanced. The social platforms he utilizes are Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Quotes, he said that he joined this community to keep in touch with my brothers and see what they're all up to after graduation. As for his user story, as a spectator of this community, he said he needed to be able to watch and stay up to date with everyone in order to achieve a sense of connection with some of his best friends from college. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed.